Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So yesterday was NBA opening night, and we had some pretty interesting games. Well, the first one was interesting going into it. Midway through that game, there was nothing interesting at all. The Boston Celtics, who was ring ceremony night, ended up blowing the doors off of the New York Knicks, and they hit something like 29 three-point shots, and they attempted 53s in that game. Just ludicrous stuff, right? So the Boston Celtics made pretty quick work of the New York Knicks. I think at the end of the game, I think Josh Hart was like, they need to get drug tested or something like that. Some New York Knicks fans didn't find that to be funny. They're like, how about you play a little bit better defense instead of making those kind of comments? So that was the first game. The second game was the one that everybody was interested in. It was the game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And going into that game, we actually put up a poll of asking our audience who they thought was going to win that game. And a lot of y'all got it wrong. And I'm going to say, I voted for the Lakers in that game, actually. I voted for the Lakers to win that game. And they ended up winning the game all the way from wire to wire. I think they ended up beating them by like 7 or 8 points or something like that. And of course, we had the Bronny James moment. But going into that game, there was a pretty interesting conversation. Maybe it was before or after, I don't know, but it took place last night. It didn't really show whether or not it was before or after. I think it was after the game. But after the game, there was a pretty interesting segment on TNT. As you guys know, this is the final year of Inside the NBA. At least that's what we think it is. And you had Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley. And what they were doing was they were kind of going over their top 20 NBA player rankings, and we did a show yesterday. Some pretty crazy lists on both Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith's side, but Kenny Smith was the one that really had the crazy list because his top three consisted of Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 1, LeBron at number 2, and Nikola Jokic at number 3. And I remember reading through some of the comments yesterday from some of our viewers who were like, Kenny Smith done lost his damn mind. And Kenny seems to be a guy that knows basketball, but like we were like, what the hell is he talking about? So during one of their segments, they were actually arguing over this, and Charles Barkley was basically telling Kenny Smith that he has no sensible reason for having LeBron James over Nikola Jokic, and they got into this pretty funny back and forth. So what we want to do now is we want to play some of the interesting parts of these guys kind of going back and forth with each other yesterday on television, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this here.
So here are your various rankings on LeBron. Kenny has him number 2.
I have a criteria, that's why.
Shaq,
Yeah,
5,
you just make it up as you go.
11. What was your criteria?
My criteria is
He made it up as he go.
that how many areas of the game can you dominate?
Oh my God.
And you put that he is the second best player in all areas of dominating the
Oh
game.
my God.
So you take those other guys that go under him. Giannis is the best dominating in all areas of the game, from defensively, offensively, rebound, assists, leadership, pace of game. LeBron James is the second best player at doing that. So I had LeBron at 2, so 5, 2.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's good.
This ain't no Lifetime Achievement Award, boys.
You don't think
Thank
you don't think LeBron James can lead his team better, just individually, in every category than anyone else?
The Lakers.
I watched the Olympic
Hold
team.
on.
I watched the Olympic team. Who was the best player on the
Steph
Olympic
Curry.
team? No, he was
Yes,
not.
he was.
For
He was.
two
Steph
games.
was.
For
Steph
2
Curry,
games.
yes.
Okay, and that's how they won the gold medal for 2 games.
Hey, let me ask you a
You got to
question.
get to the gold medal.
Let me ask you a question.
You got to get to
Stop
it.
it.
What the last 2 years? What were the Lakers?
That's his team. I'm talking about individually.
But he's the leader of the team. We're talking about you. You said that the Lakers been in the play-in. That's not even a thing. That's something Adam Silver made up. Stop it.
The best player on the Olympics this year was LeBron James. If they gave an MVP, it would have been LeBron James.
So,
first of all,
your number 1 player, I'm guessing, because you said LeBron was second to Giannis. So is Giannis
Yes,
your
Giannis
number 1
is
player?
one, yeah.
Your number 1 player was?
That'd be a guy out in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado, the Joker.
The only the
Two
reason
Jokers and a
the reason Joker is I mean we're talking splitting hairs.
Best big man. No, we're
they're
not splitting hairs. He's the best
We're
big
not-
man in the
No, we're
game.
splitting
Stop it.
hairs. But I'm saying
Why don't-
because
can we show-
Giannis at one time defensively be a better
Can we show everybody's top 5?
Okay, yeah. Can we? Yeah, if they have time, they can.
Let's see if
Fiorello
have
ain't
the
that
tech-
quick.
if we have the
Fiorello's
technology.
not that quick.
I don't know. They don't have no one
but you know
typing.
what?
There's no one typing upstairs.
You know what
right
I can do? You know what I can do because I
Because you the Godfather?
yeah, I have it in here.
Underdog,
I have
start
the
typing.
list. and I can.
Hey, listen, dummies in the back. Just write down 5 names. That's 15 people.
Here's Shaq's. Here is Shaq's top 5.
Oh
Okay?
my gosh, we can't even show it on TV and we're
Joker.
Come on, man.
We're a
Joe
TV show.
Fiorello.
Hey,
Okay.
are you going to let me do this?
Yeah, Kenny, shut the hell up,
Okay,
Kenny.
good.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Joker, Giannis, Luka, Steph, LeBron.
Thank you.
Who's
All
that?
right? That was
That's me.
Shaq.
Yeah. No disputes, just like I thought.
Kenny,
I didn't. We don't agree with
Giannis,
you. Yeah,
LeBron,
I agree.
Giannis, LeBron, Joker, SGA, and who was number 5 for you?
You don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Embiid.
No, 'cause you didn't do your
Embiid.
list.
Joel Embiid.
So you had
do
him.
your list.
You had him in front of.
What's my
Underdog did your
Now
list.
here's
I had in front of Luka.
here's the correct list.
I had him in front of Luka.
Chuck, Joker, Luka, Giannis, Embiid, Curry. There you go.
Similar to mine.
Well, I know.
Ernie.
And I can't. You know what? I gave you my top, but 5 would be
That's tough.
LeBron and Steph are right there.
5 and 6, really?
Yeah, somewhere on there. But Joker would be my number 1.
I have a question for you. If LeBron James was on the Denver Nuggets, who would he give the ball to dominate the game?
Joker. Inside out.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Well, listen, we know what LeBron.
That might be,
we know what
that might be the only team.
The
that
question.
he
the question
would not be
was
the go-to guy.
See,
You put him
older
on,
now,
see,
Kenny.
you put him on Joel
Kenny,
Embiid team. he's gonna
Kenny,
be it.
we
You put
know
him-
how great LeBron has been, but the question is, the Lakers have been irrelevant for X amount of years.
The only
now.
team he wouldn't be the go-to guy
no,
would be the Denver Nuggets, possibly.
What about Luka? He wouldn't be the number. It's Giannis. He wouldn't be the go-to guy.
he'd
you
handle
out of
the
your
ball
mind.
just
See,
as
now
much
you're
as
just giving
He'd handle it just as
lifetime achievement awards out here.
So you heard what the gentleman had to say. You heard Kenny Smith's reason. When I read the list yesterday, I immediately knew that Kenny was influenced by what took place in the Olympics. I was 100% certain, and then he said it right there. He's like, did you see what happened in the Olympics? And you heard the part where he's like, you saw what LeBron, they were like, wasn't he the best player on the Lakers? Was it Team USA? And they were like, no, it was Stephen Curry. And they got into that big conversation. Y'all remember we had the conversation over the summer. Look, what do I think about Kenny saying that LeBron is the second best player in the world? I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Most NBA fans know that LeBron is not a top 5 player. I don't think he is, right? I think that there are better players than him in the NBA. I think there are 5 players or 6 players that are much better than him. Nikola Jokic is much better than LeBron. Giannis is much better than LeBron. Joel Embiid is much better than LeBron. Luka Doncic is much better than LeBron. And then you can start going through the list. I would put Jason Tatum ahead of him. I'll put Joel Embiid ahead of him. These guys are better. Like, let's just stop the nonsense. And I believe that Anthony Davis is actually the best player on the Lakers. And who was the guy that dominated that game yesterday? Was it not AD, who had like 35 and I think in 16 boards or something like that? It was clearly Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is clearly the Lakers' best player. He is clearly their most unguardable player. He's the only player that they have on the floor that can dominate the game offensively and defensively. There is no disputing that. LeBron cannot dominate a game offensively and defensively. AD can control a game with just his defensive prowess. So them making that argument, if he's not better than AD, how the hell is he going to be better? For him to say he's better than Nikola Jokic is a joke. And the argument that Kenny Smith was coming up with was even worse. Who can lead? And everybody said, it's like, bro, what are you talking? Do you watch the games? Does the best player always lead in all the statistical categories? Is that how we're deciding who the best player? Really? Like, come on, like, stop. Like, like, everyone was looking at Kenny Smith with that take, like, yo, bro, what are you talking about? At the end of it, you heard Charles Barkley say, what is it? This isn't a Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, you're trying to give LeBron, we're not talking about all time or anything. Obviously, if it's all time, LeBron ranks ahead of all of the players in the NBA. There's no question about it. He's ahead of Steph. He's ahead of Kevin Durant. Those are really his peers, right? He's ahead of all of those guys. But we're not talking all time. We're talking about in the NBA right now. So for Kenny Smith to make that statement, I thought it was ridiculous, and I was happy that Charles and Shaquille O'Neal called him out there on that take. So going into NBA opening night, the biggest story by far was LeBron James getting an opportunity to play with Bronny James. And that's really been the discussion all throughout the offseason, if you're an NBA fan. That's been really the number one talking, apart from the Olympics, which was something that we also discussed throughout the summer. But we spent a lot of time talking about Bronny James getting to the NBA. There were all kind of strange stories surrounding him getting to the NBA. First, we heard through his agent, Rich Paul, that based on a conversation that he had with Bronny, he said to him, "What do you want to do?" He said, "I want to go to the NBA." He said, "Does it matter where you go to?" He said, "I just want to hear my name get called." This is a quote, right, from that ESPN article. And then all of a sudden, leading up to draft night, you start hearing that Bronny was only going to work out with two teams, the Phoenix Suns and then the Lakers. We're like, okay. And then the next thing he would like, if you pick Bronny, he's going to go overseas. We're like, but I thought it was just about hearing his name get called. Now all of a sudden he's about going overseas. So there were a lot of funny stories and strange stories about that. We saw his debut in the Summer League, and then of course in the preseason. And the conversation essentially has been, does Bronny James deserve to be in the NBA? Prior to tip-off last night, Charles Barkley said that Bronny is not ready for the NBA right now. Magic Johnson said that he's not ready for the NBA right now. So leading into that game, there was a conversation that took place on Fox Sports Radio on The Odd Couple, which used to feature Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, but now it features his replacement. And he seems to be a LeBron James guy. He supports LeBron, and he seems to be somebody, based on from what we're seeing from the outside, somebody that kind of gets on Rob Parker's nerves. So essentially they were talking about, is this a gimmick, right? Is this a gimmick, and is Bronny James essentially being used as a prop? And as they're going back and forth, you can slowly start to see Rob Parker getting irritated with his new co-host. And at one point, he just like, when they just went all out and they just started going back and forth with each other and had a pretty entertaining back and forth that we want to play for you guys. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what these two gentlemen had to say to one another, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to these guys here.
You know what the big thing is? So I'm just J.J. Redick recently told the media that they're going to get today, that they're going to get Bronny in the game, and they're going to try to do it in the flow of the game. Correct, yeah. Rob G? Right, in the flow of the game. And you just wonder, I get it, like this whole build up, and it's national television, and instead of just letting it happen because there's that moment or that situation where you could put in a rookie who, it just feels weird that just because you make a team and you're a rookie doesn't mean you play game one or you get, playing time. That's why the whole thing doesn't feel right, because it's not organic. And even, the Griffeys are going to be there, Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. The difference in the dynamic of that is that Jr. was the star and Dad was the veteran.
Solid player, better, yeah.
Right, left-handed bat off the bench. That was a real job for somebody to have. And you could say, yeah, we need a left-handed bat off the bench. Why not it be Senior, right? He could still hit and go, and DH or whatever it is. But he wasn't the star of the team. This is like so different because the dad, the older guy, is still the star, and the young guy, Bronny, isn't. So it doesn't feel organic, and that's why it's going to feel a lot of people won't embrace this, because it doesn't feel organic. And I totally get that.
We heard about the possibility of this happening maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a far-fetched idea. Maybe in a perfect world it could happen if the stars align. Well, dang it, Rob Parker, the stars aligned. And this isn't just the only way to make this happen is it has to be a little contrived, it has to be a little not organic in the sense that it has to be planned out, because it will be different if Bronny just happened to make the NBA. LeBron specifically said, and so has Bronny, I want to play with my father. I want to play with my son. And in order to make that happen, you got to vocalize it. You got to talk to the team. The team has to figure out a way to make it happen. It isn't just circumstance that you actually get to play with him, not just in the NBA. You want to play with him.
But
so I'm saying I'm agreeing that this had to be orchestrated.
No, but the idea that he even plays on opening night on a rookie guy who didn't even look good in the preseason is the other part that where people, if Bronny balled out, like who's the other rookie that they have?
Dalton Connect.
Yeah, and like if he balled out, There would be no question. There would be none of that. There would be no hate, no dislike of it, no sour pusses, sour faces, because he's earned his way on. Sure, he should get some playing time. Did you see him ball out in the preseason? No, but Bronny, until the last game where he finally got some points, right? He scored 17 points.
Yeah, it looked good.
But other than that, he didn't look that good. So people are looking at this as saying, this feels like a photo op for LeBron. This is about LeBron, not about Bronny. It's about LeBron to have a photo op to be able to say, see, I was all right, forget that I lost the most NBA finals of any other former MVP.
What does that have to do with it, though?
Well, forget about that. I want you to know that I'm the all-time leading scorer because I played like 30 seasons, and I want you to also know that my kid played, even though Michael Jordan owned the Charlotte Bobcats or whatever they were called, the Hornets, Bobcats,
Hornet, yeah.
Right? And he could have easily put his two sons on the team if he wanted to. He owned the team, but never did that. Like, that's a feather in his cap. And that's what this feels like to me.
But I don't disagree. I think this is a feather in his cap. I think this is a scratch that the Lakers helped him itch, or itch to scratch. And I think this is something the league is embracing. I think the league wanted to see this. Listen, you've been covering this too long to not understand that this is also entertainment. Sometimes I think we get to where we act like
sports. Did they sell any more tickets tonight? I'm asking you.
It's a story being told, Rob. I'm not saying that they needed to get
the Lakers don't need to sell any tickets.
Yes, they do.
No, they
Everybody,
don't.
it's the same reason why okay, that's like saying the Yankees don't need stars because they're the Yankees. No, you still need story. You need stars. You need storylines.
But he's not going to be playing. You keep telling me so. Wait a minute. I'm asking you. If you're telling me that, but you're sitting here saying he's going to play a couple games and then go down to the G League.
Yes.
So what does it have to do with the
I'm
Lakers?
telling you, if you would hush,
so how is that a storyline?
Because tonight, everybody's tuning in to see this historic moment. The moment that a father plays with his son, not in a random game or not on the same team on opening day. Everyone's tuning in. Everyone's going to be there, including the Griffies, and this is going to be a moment. And the moment will have been had, and then they're going to get down to brass tacks and say, all right, Bronny, we need you to go get better. And they're going to send him down to the G League, whether it be tonight or in the next 2 or 3 games. He's going to go to the G League for a while, and he's going to get better. And that LeBron and Bronny can check that box, can say that we did that. We were able to play together, be the first to ever do that. What a cool moment. I don't see the big issue. I can understand what you're saying and what maybe some other folks are saying. I don't see the big issue in this because I looked at the list of the last 20 years of the number 55 pick. When I tell you, you will not know a single name on there. It is ridiculous.
How many got a 4-year fully guaranteed contract? How many played opening night?
But my point is none of them. No, my point is none of them deserved it. None of them even really played outside of a year or so.
So you heard what they had to say there, right? Rob essentially was saying, does Bronny James actually, number one, deserve to make it on his own, deserve to be in the NBA? And he's saying that more people would respect the situation had Bronny done it on his own. Right? Had he done it on his own merits, meaning he was good enough to be there. But for the fact that he wasn't, at the very least, he's a second-round draft pick, but by the fact that not only did his father's team help him get to the NBA, but to see him even play on starting night, knowing very well he's going to go to the G League, he said that may be the part that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. Also, I saw some comments that LeBron recently made on social media where he said that he felt like the only person that wanted Bronny to succeed was, I think, his teammates and his family. And I'm like, you see, this is LeBron turning himself into the victim again. Like, this is just it. I be trying to support LeBron, man, but sometimes he makes it very, 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 very hard to support him. First of all, if you watched that game yesterday, the moment Bronny walked into the game with his father, everybody started cheering. As a matter of fact, people were standing up in the arena. They were standing up with their camera phones. Even I was like, man, this is a moment right here. And you could see when they were doing the dribble handoffs with one another and LeBron kind of set up Bronny for that shot. The minute he shot the ball and he missed, the entire arena was like, oh no. Like, everybody wanted him to hit that shot. Number one. Number two, Bronny is being plastered all over the internet. We were hearing leading up to the game, wherever Bronny goes, you had kids cheering for him and all that. So to say that people want to see Bronny fail, no. I think that people actually want to see Bronny do well because he seems like a nice young man. I think what people are upset with is the situation. And for LeBron to not see that, you got to be really tone deaf. You can't possibly think that everybody loves this, number one. Number two, you can't possibly think that everything you're going to do, everybody's going to love it. Like, that's just not living in reality, right? It's not realistic. You're going to do things that people love, and those very same things could be the same reason a lot of people dislike you, right? And a lot of times LeBron brings this on himself, man. Like, this is all self-inflicted. But nevertheless, they had their moment. They had their moment. They did it together. They made history. Ken Griffey Jr. was there with his father. It was a great moment for them. And now we move on to the reality of it. And I think it's going to be a long NBA season listening to Rob Parker and Chris Broussard's replacement going back and forth with each other, hollering and screaming about one another. And one person said, hey, man, why don't you say the guy's name? You think if they watch this show, they ever going to say my name? Man, please. Like, please. Anybody saying Dreamerspro? The only people I've heard say Dreamerspro name in media, like known personalities, Gilbert Arenas, O'Shea Duke Jackson, but that's not sports. I think, oh my God, the Asian guy that goes on Jason Whitlock's show, and maybe somebody else I can't think of. I might be saying our names. And please. Today's going to be a very, very tough show for me. Very, very tough show. But you know, sometimes when you're wrong about things, I think you got to be man enough to admit when you get things wrong from time to time. As you guys know, Kobe Bryant is my favorite player to ever play basketball. I've watched everybody play. I didn't really get to see Jordan play all that much, but I did watch a lot of game footage because I wasn't old enough. But I did watch a lot of game footage of him. But in terms of people that I saw play through their primes and all of that, to me, I was convinced, and I think so many people were convinced, that Kobe was the best guy we had going to the league. And a lot of NBA players said the same thing. And in the midst of Kobe's prime and his run, LeBron came into the NBA, and he came in with a lot of hype. They're calling himself the chosen one and all of that. He's going to be the next Michael Jordan and all of that. And when he came into the NBA, LeBron was a great player, especially as a rookie. LeBron hit the ground running the minute he came into the NBA. I think his first game in Sacramento, he scored like 25 points. I forgot the rest of his stat line. And everybody knew, okay, this young man is here. And from that year on, it's just been him having great seasons year after year. Sometimes he's had various bad moments in the playoffs, but overall, he's been very, very consistent in terms of his production throughout the course of his career. And as time went on, I started to realize that, look, even though this guy is not my favorite player, even though I'm not a fan of his antics at all, he became one of my top five players of all time in terms of, he was in the top five in terms of the best players that ever played. I think at the time I had him ranked number 4 behind MJ, Kareem, and Kobe. So LeBron was in my top 5. And then some years ago, he did some stuff that kind of annoyed me, and I removed him out of my top 5 because he was just annoying me. But then going into this season, there was this big conversation that surrounding LeBron James and, you know, him possibly playing with his son. And at the time, it all seemed like a pipe dream because they were talking about this when Bronny was like in high school and in college. But as it started to become more realistic, I was like, okay, well, this could be a thing or whatever. And then there was the preseason game that they played where they were both in a game, right? And it was plastered all over the internet and all of that. And I remember watching that and I said to myself, okay, this is pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. But then we had yesterday, which was NBA opening night. And going into opening night, apart from the Celtics receiving their championship rings, the biggest story was LeBron making history playing with his son, Bronny James. The first time an NBA player, played with his son in the NBA, made history. They even had Ken Griffey Jr. there and his father. They were the first to do it in sports and baseball. So we knew that this was an historic moment. So I tuned in to watch the game. The game started like at 3 a.m. my time, and I wasn't going to watch the whole game. But based on the reports that I saw, they were saying that it was going to occur before the first half. So I was glued to my computer watching the game. And then I think it was in the second quarter, and I was just sitting there. I think like a lot of people watching, like, well, when is Bronny going to come into the game? When is Bronny going to come into the game? And then they panned to the bench, and LeBron was sitting next to Bronny. And they stood up and started walking towards what is it? Where they check in? I forgot the desk or whatever. I forgot what they call it. Just skipped my mind. The scores table. And as I'm looking at the two of them, I was like, wow, this is a moment. This is a cool moment. And as a father, I felt that. I even posted on the channel 12 hours ago. I said, man, it was really nice to see LeBron and his son check into the game. As a father, I felt that moment. LOL. And at the end of the game, I came to a realization that with this, LeBron just might have passed my favorite player, Kobe. He just might have. After I saw that moment, I realized that LeBron has passed Kobe. He has passed Kobe as the number one leader in all-time missed shots. Wait, hold up. Y'all thought I was about to say that LeBron James has passed Kobe Bryant as the greatest. You must be out your mind. Y'all got to be out your mind. I know some of y'all are like, I'm about to unsubscribe from this MF right now. Hell no, I ain't about to say that. People been messaging me all over the internet talking about, make sure you talk about LeBron passing Kobe for the most missed shot. Make sure you talk. You know the media ain't going to talk about it. So here I am talking about it. Apart from the fact that LeBron made history playing with his son, which was a cool moment yesterday. I'm not going to front. It was a cool moment. But he also made some history by now being the number one all-time leader in missed shots. I want to read from a quick article here from CBS Sports. It says, LeBron James breaks Kobe Bryant's record for the most missed shots in NBA history. James has missed 14,482 shots and counting in his historic NBA career. LeBron James has plenty of very positive NBA records. Nobody has scored more points or played more minutes of professional basketball, and nobody else has shared on an NBA court with his son. He is quite possibly the greatest player in the history of basketball, but that doesn't mean he's perfect. And on Tuesday, James set one record he'd likely rather forget. Coming into his 22nd season, James has missed a total of 14,476 field goals in his illustrious NBA career. That left him just 5 shy of Kobe Bryant's all-time record of 14,481 missed field goal attempts. Sure enough, during the season opener between the Los Angeles Lakers and Minnesota Timberwolves, James missed his 6th shot in the third quarter and claimed the record for most missed shots in league history with 14,482 and counting. Okay, so you heard what that article had to say there. Now, I want to get into the real show right now and where we're going to really have the fun. Let's get into it now. You know, after this stat came out, I said to myself, I need to investigate what went on here, because LeBron eclipsing Kobe in terms of missed shots 1 year later, or 1 year earlier, however you want to look at it, made me begin to think, well, does that mean that LeBron is a better scorer than Kobe? And some of his fans were like, well, you got the most all-time points, so obviously the best scorer. So I had to do some digging, and I investigated extensively. And the conclusion that I came to, I believe is going to surprise a lot of you. So let's get through some of the data that I was able to unearth here. So for Kobe's NBA career, he attempted 19.5 field goal attempts per game. For LeBron's NBA career, he attempted 19.6. So virtually the same. LeBron attempted slightly more shots. Kobe, for his career, shot 44.7% from the field versus LeBron, who shot 50.6% from the field. So looking at those numbers, those field goal percentages, one could easily draw the conclusion that, okay, LeBron is clearly the more efficient player because he's shooting 6% higher from the field. So one would assume that, but that wouldn't necessarily be the case. So I started to do a little bit more digging. And what I discovered was, in LeBron passing Kobe for having the most missed shots, that actually came down not to LeBron being way more efficient than Kobe. It came down to really their playing styles. Okay, let me give you guys some data here. According to ESPN, from 1996 to the year 2016, which is a 20-year window, okay, Allen Iverson in that time frame who played in the NBA, made 17,767 unassisted mid-range jumpers. And number 4, LeBron made 1,783 unassisted mid-range jumpers. Dirk made 1,886 unassisted mid-range jumpers, but Kobe made 2,775 unassisted mid-range jumpers, which means that in that time frame, Kobe made virtually 1,000 more mid-range jumpers unassisted, right? So what that told me was LeBron had a different style than Kobe because they averaged virtually the same amount of field goal attempts. So it means that LeBron was shooting in a different way or attacking differently. And what I discovered was LeBron was actually favoring attacking the basket, but I wanted to prove this with the data. According to basketballreference.com, okay, let's look at the percentages. Kobe, for his career, shot 42.2% outside of 3 feet to the three-point line. LeBron, for his career, is shooting 38.3% from outside, from that same distance. Okay, so that's a pretty big difference in terms of percentage. And if you look at the percentage of the shots that they were taking from various distances, you will begin to understand why LeBron shot a higher field goal percentage, and it really had nothing to do with him being better. LeBron took 35% of his shots came from between 0 to 3 feet. 13% of his offense came from between 3 to 10 feet. Another 13 came from 10 to 16 feet. 18% came from between 16 to the three-point line, and 23% of his shots came from beyond the arc, beyond the three-point line. Kobe, on the other hand, took less shots closer to the rim. 21.9% of his shots came from 0 to 3 feet. 12% came from 3 to 10 feet. 17.2% came from 10 to 16 feet. And 27.1% came from 16 to the three-point line, and he attempted 21% of his shots beyond the three-point line. So based on that data, it is clear to me that Kobe favored shooting mid-range jumpers. And if you factor in the fact that he made 1,000 more unassisted mid-range jumpers, you can then understand just how much better he was at shooting from the mid-range than LeBron was. But if you talk to the typical LeBron fan, they'll just give you the naked numbers and say, oh, well, LeBron is just a better shooter. Look at their field goal percentages, without really going into the real numbers and really understanding what was really going on there. So for me, it is clear that Kobe was clearly the more superior mid-range shooter, but LeBron could also shoot, but he played a different style. And the question then becomes, if Kobe shot a higher percentage from the mid-range and you reverse the numbers and say LeBron made 1,000 more mid-range jumpers at his percentage, what would his overall field goal percentage be playing the same style as Kobe? And anybody that knows anything about basketball will tell you for free that it's a lot easier to score closer to the rim than it is away further from the rim. But it doesn't stop there. Another thing I've heard some people say as well, LeBron is a much better scorer than Kobe because look at their career averages. Kobe averaged like 25.1 or 2 points per game, whereas LeBron is averaging 27.1, so therefore he's a better scorer than Kobe. And I'm like, but that's not the full picture. There's a reason that number exists, and it has nothing to do with LeBron being being better than Kobe per game by 2 points. Has nothing to do with that. Kobe averaged from the year 2000 to 2010, his average for that decade was 28.4 points per game. LeBron's average from 2005 to 2015 was 28.1. So Kobe was actually averaging more points than LeBron over any decade that they both played in the NBA. The only difference was, if you go look at Kobe's stats, career stats, the last 3 seasons of his NBA career, he was injured badly. Torn shoulder, rotator cuff, I believe, and an Achilles tendon tear. And he was a much, much older player. So that's why his performance and his field goal percentages just bottomed out. But before that, at the age of 34, they were calling him Vino. And Kobe was actually getting more efficient and he was getting older. He was actually getting more efficient as he was getting older. And he was a mid-range guy, and I think that year he shot something like, 48%? Let me see if I can pull up the stat here. I don't know if I have the stat open, but I think that was the 2012, 2013 season. And that season, Kobe Bryant scored, I think, what's the year? He played 72 games, 8 games, sorry. He scored 27.3. He shot 46.3% that season. And that was the best he had shot since 2009, 2010. He was shooting it. That was at when he was 34 years old, going on 35 years old. So if you look at their averages, Kobe's had the higher average. So the difference was Kobe got injured his last 3 years, and the first 2 seasons in the NBA, he didn't start. And the moment Kobe started, I think he might have been, 19 years old at that point when he started, or 17 or 19, about 19 years old. He pretty much put up the same numbers that LeBron put up when he came into the NBA as a rookie. Pretty much. And LeBron was attempting more shots because while Kobe came into the NBA, I think that year as a rookie, that year when he averaged 19, he was attempting 15.6 shots a game. 15.6. And he was playing with the guy that was attempting 18 shots a game. LeBron, on the other hand, when he came into the NBA, he was attempting damn near 20 shots a game. He attempted, 19 field goal attempts per game, damn near, as a rookie. And there was no other player that he had to pass the ball to. So to me, look, even though LeBron has eclipsed Kobe for the most missed shots, I don't really pay too much attention to it. No, LeBron hasn't passed Kobe Bryant in my book, but it was still very nice to troll you guys.